Hey, everybody out there, what is up? This is BQ. Thanks for checking out Pro Wrestling Voice. Before you do anything, please subscribe to this channel. Lots of really good content covering the news of wrestling, the world of wrestling. Lots of great WWE podcasts on here. And I'm here as your TNA representative with 6 points of impact. So please subscribe, like, and all that good jazz. Now, real quick plug of myself, I do host a weekly podcast covering TNA Impact Wrestling that's been doing really, really well lately. We've got a lot of steam. So if you guys are looking for a good podcast covering TNA, just check us out. And we are called the King of the Mountain Podcast. So you can actually click the link here in the description. And you can also check us out on Twitter. All that stuff's in the description. So you can check us out. And then again, please subscribe here at Pro Wrestling Voice. So guess what? This is 6 points of impact. I'm going to do a quick rundown of the 6 things that really stood out to me from tonight's Impact Wrestling broadcast. This was a semi-live show. It was a great show. And as I've said a other couple times, I'm not a fanboy. So I'm going to point out 5 things that I really liked and one thing that I didn't like so much. And if you're someone who hasn't really checked out TNA, you can see see if you like what I have to say. Maybe it's going to push you in that direction to check it out a little bit more. If you're someone who does like it, we'll see if you agree with what I have to say, what I dig about it. So first point is the Hardys. Okay, Final Deletion was last week. Created a huge buzz on the internet. Some people hated it. Most people loved it. I think people really appreciated the creativity that the Final Deletion had and that how Matt Hardy reinvented himself. My first point tonight is the Hardys, Matt Hardy. There was about 3 or 4 more segments that were kind of Final Deletion-ish, if you will, and he's really come into his stride with his character. He's hit his stride. These vignettes, or whatever you want to call them, hilarious tonight. I mean, I can't even I can't even tell you. Very funny. Very, like, it's just like he hit his stride and now he's just going. And if you couldn't pick up on the fact that this Final Deletion and the Matt Hardy character is supposed to have some humor to it, then you're looking at it too seriously, too closely. You're nitpicking. It's supposed to be, as Vince Russo would say, campy. And it's been a killer segment. It's been a great feud. Matt Hardy continued to impress and to entertain this episode, and this was the public deletion. So there was a little bit of a storyline with what's next for Jeff Hardy after he's been deleted or whatever. So it was a good segment. It answered some questions, didn't answer all questions, but I was worried Jeff Hardy was going to come down to the ring like. He came down to the ring defeated, don't get me wrong, but it's more like he lost the match. It wasn't like he was brainwashed and became a disciple of Matt Hardy's or nothing like that. You know what I mean? So it was realistic. Point number 2, we got a knockouts match. It was a 4-way match. I think WWE has some of the best female talent in the world. I'm never gonna say otherwise, but they're still not being booked really strong. And the knockouts, I mean, man, you just see matches that you don't see in other promotions, just because there's a lot of really good back and forth, and all the women are meant to matter. None of the women are jobbers, so to speak. So even when NXT, you see these phenomenal, Asuka and Bliss and Carmella, you see these really great wrestlers. You often get like a jobber on the other end, unless it's a takeover show. And these matches are just really competitive. It's, if you like the women's division in NXT, I think you'll like the knockouts division in TNA, because it's very similar. Like it's important, just like the world title picture is. So it's not to that, main event of the show thing, kind of like how NXT does. But it's getting there. This was a really good match because there was 2 sets of women who had a lot of heat with each other. It wasn't like just this random match, and the heat really came into play. You got heel versus heel, face versus face. It was a good match, and the knockouts division gets better and better every week. They started off the year like shit. I'm not gonna lie. I was really worried. They did not have a talented group of women out there. They cut some of the fat out, like Velvet Sky, Awesome Kong was on her last leg of being a good performer. So they got rid of some of those chicks, replacing them with some good ones. And now we got Chelsea Green coming in. So the knockouts it's a reason to watch. It's becoming a reason to watch again. Another one, third point, babyface heat. Right now there's a feud going on between EC3 and Drew Galloway. It is very rare these days in wrestling that you pull off a good face versus face feud, because it's this handshake thing and I respect you. This is an instance where you got one baby face here, one baby face here. They're the two top baby faces in the company, and there is heat. Like, these guys hate each other. They have told a really, really good story, and now you're invested in this, where you're emotionally invested in it. And I think Drew Galloway is going to go a heel route here. I don't know. That's kind of what it's teasing. But again, to get heat between two baby faces like we're getting with this feud is insane. I haven't seen anything like that in a face versus face feud in forever in wrestling, in any promotion. I watch all wrestling promotions. The next one, the main event was Eddie Edwards from the Wolves against Bobby Lashley, title for title. We got the return of Davey Richards. So that was huge, because people really want to see the Wolves back together again. They're a phenomenal tag team. I think they're the best tag team in all of wrestling. We're just so lucky as TNA fans to have them. And he came back, and even though Eddie Edwards just won his X Division title back last week, and there was really no build to this title fight, the way they created that title fight and the way that they built up to it tonight, you would have thought there was a build for weeks and weeks. So I have to give them a lot of props for that, because they created a title match that really mattered and people were really excited for. This was one of the top 2 or 3 title matches TNA's put on in the year as far as the big fight feel. And they created a really good underdog story with this one, because, and I'm going to compare it to WWE, not in a negative way, and I'm sorry, but I was watching Raw last night and I saw that Zack Ryder is going to challenge for the U.S. title and Darren Young's for the Intercontinental title. Now, those guys are, for a lack of better term, don't mean to offend anyone, but they're jobbers. Okay, they don't win a whole lot. These matches that they have coming up at Battleground, they just feel like champion versus jobber. Like, there's not a underdog story behind those, because it wasn't a proper build. And with this match with Eddie Edwards, they were able to create an underdog story in a matter of a week. And damn, this was a great match. You definitely want to see it, and you definitely want to see the ending, which is going to be my last point. Because right now I'm going to get to point number 5. This is my negative, but I usually like to throw the negative at number 5. Negative 5 is the hottest thing in TNA this year has been the Decay. Badass group. Rosemary's phenomenal. She's like a Harley Quinn character. Badass. Right now they're almost doing a love triangle angle with Bram. I don't like it. I don't know if many TNA fans like it. Kind of intriguing at first, but now it's pissing people off, because they're worried this is leading to like a breakup maybe of the Decay, which would be a huge mistake, because they're crazy. They're the best act in wrestling, best stable, best faction. So that's the one thing I don't like. I don't know where this is going. I know that TNA is really shallow in the tag team division right now until the Wolves are like full steam. So I can see where this storyline is kind of like a filler storyline, but I don't like it. And the love triangle thing is never good. I think the only time it's ever been good is the Christian Jericho and Trish Stratus thing 10, 12 years ago. Other than that, maybe the Hardy Edge Lita one, but they're hard to pull off. For a lack of better terms, this is kind of what it's coming off as. Not a big fan of it. Love Bram, love Decay. Please get away from this. Point number 6, Moose. Moose made his Impact debut tonight. A lot of people speculated that it was going to happen, and it did. It actually did. Like, we actually got a debut right for once in the wrestling world. Every time Raw comes on, this is the Finn Balor episode where he's debuting and it never happens. Or this is when so-and-so is coming. This is when, back when AJ was coming. This is when AJ is coming. This is when this club's coming. People always get it wrong, and boom, we finally got it. Moose. And he went toe-to-toe with Lashley. Kind of got one up on him because Bennett gave him the low blow, but that's a huge signing for TNA. I get that he wasn't able to go to WWE because of the background check, and I'm sure he's really disappointed in that, but he can definitely make Impact Wrestling a stepping stone because, NXT does sign former TNA guys now. So, even if he's around for a year, 2 years to further his stock, cool, but we get to enjoy him for a while. That's a huge name to add to a pretty good main event scene that TNA has. I truly think their main event scene, the 6 guys that they have, is really good. This is the 7th, hell, even an 8th if you count Eddie Edwards for another week. So, yeah, so that's it. 6 points. Again, if you're looking for a good TNA podcast, look us up, the King of the Mountain podcast. A lot of people are following us on Twitter already. You can find us on Podbean with kotmpodcast.podbean.com. Our YouTube channel, which is in the subscription here. We're on SoundCloud for the a few of you who prefer that method. iTunes, all that good stuff. We put on a really, really good show. We're about 9 weeks deep, and the growth's been tremendous. So, again, subscribe here, Pro Wrestling Voice, and we'll catch you later. BQ here, and I'm out.